So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you for joining us today for this fireside chat on an incredibly important topic, the evolving threat landscape for data and AI security. As we navigate an increasingly digitized world, data has become one of the most valuable assets for any organization. Our goal today is to provide our audiences with an understanding of technology and risks surrounds data and AI security, and go through some real-life examples of how organizations can better protect their sensitive data in the evolving cyber threat landscape. Now, I'd like to introduce our special guest, Todd Moore, who's the VP of Data Security Products from Thales, and Sujan Dasgupta, Senior Manager, Technology Operations from Mitsubishi United Financial Group, or MUFG. Can I get you both to do a quick introduction about yourself first? Sujan.
Yes. Sujan, look after the technology operations for MUFG and their pensions and market services division. What my remit is to manage the platform engineering, and that includes databases, application platforms, its security, compliance, and governances, coming out with new technological solutions, right, and providing input into various aspects of operational management.
Excellent. Thanks for joining us today, Sujan. Todd?
Thanks. Sure. My name is Todd Moore. I'm responsible for our data security products here at Thales. Based in the U.S., East Coast U.S., near Washington, D.C. Been in the cybersecurity business for about 30 years now, and really focused on data security, no matter where that data lives, and we want to make sure that we're protecting it. So we do that at data at rest, data in motion, and data in use, and we have a whole portfolio of products that we're continually just innovating on to be able to help customers protect and be able to sleep well at night.
Thanks, Todd. So look, let's start by reviewing the threat landscape around AI development. Thales have recently released the 2025 Data Threat Report, which looks at the latest challenges, threats, and trends in cybersecurity. Todd, can you talk through some of those key findings?
Sure. Well, this data threat report, we've been doing it now for 5 years, and it really takes inputs for over 3,000 IT security experts around the world. And this year, no surprise, AI security has bubbled to the top of really something that's on the forefront of all the CISOs, security-minded folks around the world. In particular, 67% have found that AI is a fast-moving ecosystem. They're very much worried about different parts of the security around lack of integrity, trustworthiness, and confidentiality. 53% of the respondents are investing in Gen AI-specific tools, with 16% using newly allocated budget. So this has become a large budget item for all of our customers. Cloud security is still number one when it comes to their spend, but AI security is quickly catching up. And 19% consider AI implementation as transformational within their business.
Excellent. Thanks, Todd. AI is such an important part of how we're going to become efficient moving forward. Sujan, can you talk a little bit about MUFG's journey?
Yes, Alexis, look, we started off exploring, and we looked into various ways we can actually use AI. And what we find is it is easier for us to start using AI in our development or a security development lifecycle, including how we can enable the speed to market, right, and enable our testers getting better results. She likes automated testing and development towards security is the key there, and that's where we are at. We've completed our exploration, and we are sort of experimenting with various strategies and solutions.
And Todd, from what are we seeing with our customers when it comes to AI operational risks that are being created through the use of AI?
Sure. Well, it's almost like our customers are implementing AI because they feel like they have to. It's almost like they don't want to be left behind. They hear that their competition or that other organizations are using AI, so it feels like they have to invest, they have to just implement it. So it's almost like we're getting the cart in front of the horse, where we're implementing AI, hopefully for the good, but we're doing it so fast we're forgetting about protecting it. It's almost like if you think about 15 years ago when cloud first came out, everybody raced to get into public cloud, and then security was sort of an afterthought. And it's the same sort of things happening a little bit around AI. So what we're seeing is a lot of the boards, a lot of the C-level suite is want to use the AI, but they're really worried about how it's configured, how folks are using it. Shadow AI is a big problem. Are people using the right AI tools they should be using? And then realistically, from a data security perspective, it comes down to the data. I mean, you don't want your company personal data finding its way into AI engines and being lost. So data leakage is a very big deal. And so going back to being able to use the same things we've always done around data security, making sure that you've protected what's critical to you, whether that's through maybe an encryption or tokenization technique, but also monitoring what's going into AI engine and what's coming out. And so there's an activity monitoring piece as well too. So the same things we've always done around data security still applies to AI, but operationally, a lot of organizations, are still trying to figure out exactly what they need to do to make sure they put the right controls in place today. So a lot of work happening in that area and a lot of good things that need to happen.
Thanks, Todd. The next question I'll ask to both of you, Sujan, I'll get you to answer this one first, but what use cases have you seen for AI which have delivered tangible results when it comes to threat detection or response across application or data security?
What we have seen is AI can be used to determine how well our controls are in place. Like I say, be it in-code security, be it testing security, be it how we govern our security and incorporate various controls within our frameworks. Now, these are experimental at this stage. Like we're trying to sort of get into how we can deliver these potential benefits, right, in mainstream applications. And that's where we are at today. We understand there is a inherent risk, right, that is coming up. Yep. Right, and that we have to sort of explore and try to control.
Thanks, Sujan. Todd, where do you see the use cases for AI that are delivering tangible results when it comes to threat detection or response across some of our customers globally?
Well, I agree with a lot of what was just said by Sujan. I see that from an AI perspective, being able to monitor what's happening in an organization and adapt quickly to what they see is an important aspect of what AI can deliver. And so whether it's the playbooks or the policy management, I mean, it's interesting what AI can do, taking all these different inputs, creating a decision that actually applies a security policy in some aspects. And Sujan, you were just talking about that, quickly across your organization's data is going to be a great power from AI, and where we're starting to see organizations really, start to get value, whether it's a playbook of what you need to do if something's happening within your organization that might be malicious or maybe it's not. Here's a playbook of how you support that, but it's also the policies that you may apply to help protect your organization as well too.
Excellent, Todd. So across our product portfolio here at Thales, we're implementing AI a little bit more to provide some insights and reporting. Can you expand a little bit on how we're doing that?
Sure. Well, it's funny at Thales, AI is not anything new. We have data activity monitoring, Imperva data activity monitoring, and I know MUFG is a customer of ours. For many years now, over 15 years, we've had, it used to be called machine learning, not AI, where we had behavioral models, which basically were looking at what and how people were using data and being able to detect malicious activity. So from a Thales perspective, we've been using machine learning for quite a long period of time. We do data discovery and classification. Historically, that was around pattern matching, and now we're moving to context matching. So everyone working in the data discovery and classification space really does need some machine learning AI capabilities incorporated. So that's another element that we have in our products. And I guess the last one I'll just highlight is we're doing a lot around chatbot and summarization. Our products are difficult. Data security is difficult, and so John, you may agree with that. It's interesting that our customers are always looking for things to be automated, orchestrated, and simplified. And with AI, we can really summarize some very complicated things very quickly. And we can also let folks ask questions, natural language questions about what's happening in their organization with their data and give a response that's really meaningful to them. So AI is really going to make lives easier for a lot of folks, but specifically at Thales, we're leveraging it to make our customers' journey a lot more simple and easier to use.
Thanks, Todd. Sujan, can you talk a little bit about some of those use cases where you're using Thales products with AI and how they're benefiting MUFG?
Well, let's just look. With AI is something that I'll say we had not started with AI, but like as Todd was telling, these things, like I said, certain types of automation always existed, right? We had reports coming out, right? And what happens now is these reports would get even better, right? Even richer, give more information on what we actually need. The contents would be much richer, giving us the advantage, right? And getting us to know the threat landscapes better, right? And that will make us much useful, palatable audits that we sort of have to report every year.
Yeah.
And that's what we're expecting.
Yeah.
Right. So we have not put it in practice yet, but like I said, that's what's going to happen in due course.
I think the word you used there was great, was simplify, Todd, and I think that AI is definitely going to simplify the way that governance and compliance, speed to compliance will work. So moving on from AI security, let's take a look at the trends in data security and digital sovereignty. Data protection is not just an IT issue, it's a core business priority. Organizations that prioritize data protection can gain a high level of trust or loyalty from their clients. From the 2025 Data Threat Report, can you talk through some of those key findings? Todd?
Sure. So again, the Data Threat Report found some things around data. Some interesting just takeaways is 18% of the respondents have little or no confidence in identifying where their data is stored. That's kind of scary. If you think about it, 80% don't know where their data is today, whether that's in cloud or on-premise. So that's something that needs to be really focused on. 60% were driven to pursue digital sovereignty for a specific customer, region, or global privacy. So as the global privacy mandates continue, customers still have to be able to protect that information. And 40% said that encryption and key management provides sufficient protection, which is good for us being a data security company. But it is clear that almost every compliance privacy law around the world does say encryption and key management is an adequate control, but you have to use it in the right way. So it's a decent finding, a good finding from the report.
And Sujan, can you tell us a little bit about how you protect your data across?
Oh yes, like I said, look, data is so important for us. We manage our clients' data.
Yep.
It's not our data, not like a bank. Like I said, we provide a service and we keep a lot of sensitive information for our clients. And that we do in accordance with various principles and controls and governance. Right? We make sure that we have encryption, and that's where we sort of benefit from Thales's CTM suite of products. It's very important for us that the data that we sort of keep is not only safe, but our clients have the confidence in us that it is safe. All right? So we sort of obviously manage data across various regions, adhere to the data governance and principles across various regions as well. So that's where it helps us.
And having data across multiple different regions, how do you ensure the data sovereignty? How do you approach data sovereignty?
Sovereignty is something very important for us. How we manage it, it's layers. It's all layered. The first part of that is to understand what the laws and regulations are, right? Get into that by principles. We're talking about various types of laws, like the GDPR in Europe, APP here. We have Hong Kong, we have New Zealand. Every country has various different laws, understanding them. Get help legally. We have our privacy officers who give us information as to how we need to sort of manage and monitor and provision access. Where we sort of physically keep data is very important, right? Each of these regions have very different ways of functioning. While say some countries would look at other partner countries, right? And they can sort of freely move data across, whereas other countries would not want their data to physically move out of that designated sovereignty. In Australia, it's different. We don't even let people see the data unless there's consent of people who own the data. So it goes back to that ownership model, various guidelines and principles of how data is protected and governed.
And Sujan, can you explain to us how the CipherTrust data management platform is helping MUFG with that data sovereignty?
The first part is encryption. Data has to be encrypted, right? Data at rest is very important for us. We keep data for a certain period of time, and this is people's sensitive information, right? So keeping that under control, under check, right? We use the transparent data encryption, right? And that's across our databases. Alongside that, we also use the CipherTrust key management, application key management, that allows us to bring our own keys into cloud platforms, into our own private cloud, and other on-premise application data sources, right? So, and that enables us, right? It gives a black box entity where we don't have to go out, right, and specifically have various measures put in place, right, as far as access is concerned. It's just stored, and the keys are just rotated, right? You don't have to sort of look into the stuff, and it's industry standard. And the moment you say that, hey, you're using this tool, right, that's where it stops, actually. People don't ask further questions because it's known.
Excellent. So Todd, a question that I have is, where do you see globally our customers are starting when they're looking at protecting their data? What's the journey that you talk to them and take them through?
Well, again, data is different per every organization. What's important to one organization may not be as important to a different organization. Payment companies, PCI regulations help drive healthcare, insurance. There's different types of regulations that may drive what data you need to be and what needs to be protected. I think what we find for most organizations is not to bite off too much. I mean, start small. Sujan, you just mentioned database encryption, transparent data encryption. That's one of the most common use cases, whether it's, native encryption is great, and I'm never going to say don't use native encryption. Please use it, but one thing you want to do is make sure the keys, the encryption keys, you keep separate from the application, in this case, the database. And so that would be one basic use case that you start with in your journey of data security. And then once you've got that in place, you've got a data security platform like CipherTrust, and thank you for being a customer, by the way. You can add additional use cases on top, whether that's file encryption, application encryption, or cloud key management. So it really, in the journey, it's finding a starting point, building upon it. A lot of times it's compliance driven. One of the use cases that we're seeing more and more is around secrets, which is outside of compliance a little bit. Things like passwords, QR codes, PIN codes, API tokens. These are things that are getting stolen and being used by malicious users to break inside organizations. And developers, we love them, but they're accidentally hard coding these things into software, or they're putting them in open source repositories like GitLab and GitHub. So you have to manage your encryption keys, but you also have to manage secrets as well too. So again, starting small, compliance might be your first driver, but then expand to a full security strategy and then build out from there. So it is a journey. It doesn't happen all at once.
Yep. Sujan, can you talk us through a little bit about your journey and how the solution was deployed and some of the advantages that you had during that time?
Look, we started off very basic. We started off with the native encryptions various database provides, and then came the problem of the keys. Where do you manage it? How do you manage it? So what happens if something goes down? All right, and what happens if you lose your keys? You're losing data. You can't get in. Because this a native encryption, tools that you have, right, from various vendors or the database vendors themselves, that's pretty good. But keys are keys. So how you sort of centrally locate something, right? How you can sort of actually retrieve information back, right, and replay it. Now we wanted something very safe, and also something that is industry standard. And that's where our journey with Thales began. It started pretty small with just our Oracle databases, keeping the keys for our Oracle databases. Then we sort of realized that, hey, with Oracle databases, we have an advantage, right, that we don't have to sort of, we can actually separate out only the PII data, right? And then that can be taken care of. Whereas in SQL, that's different. You have to sort of do TDE, right? Transparent data encryption across the whole database. And that becomes very difficult to back up because you can't compress that, right? Now, in modern technologies, the new databases, that's a bit different, but we do have a lot of data on-prem. And so what we did is we incorporated TDE into the file systems, right, thereby encrypting the files. And that solved the whole problem of not being able to encrypt our SQLs. That extended to other database platforms as well. And then the added advantage there was the key management. You don't have to sort of worry about your wallet keys. You don't have to worry about your tokens, all right? So you manage them through the key manager.
Excellent. So as we talk about encryption, let's move on to the last part of our discussion today, PQC and technological innovations. Technology plays a vital role in enhancing data protection. At the same time, it could create more risks, such as quantum computing. Cybercriminals armed with quantum power to break traditional encryption algorithms can analyze massive amounts of data or hack critical infrastructure in seconds. Todd, can you talk through some of the key findings from our data threat report regarding post-quantum cryptography?
Sure. It's amazing how post-quantum cryptography has really risen to the forefront of a lot of folks' minds. When we asked about post-quantum cryptography, respondents cited future encryption compromise, secure key distribution, and future decryption of today's data as their top security concerns. In fact, 62% were worried about future encryption compromise of their data, 60% were worried about key distribution, and 61% were worried about harvest now, decrypt later when it comes to PQC. It's clear that a post-quantum computer will arrive, hopefully, maybe, not too far in the future, and in sort of harvesting data now that's encrypted with current algorithms could be at risk. So a concern for all that are concerned.
Thanks, Todd. Sujan, have MUFG began assessing their quantum vulnerability?
Look, what we did is we added that to our vulnerability assessment. Right? That's a regular process we have, and as and when quantum computing evolved, and it's evolving, we put the threats and added that into our vulnerability assessment program. That's very important for us because we get internally audited and externally audited. We participate in ISO 27002. There are other regulatory and compliance audits that we do in various jurisdictions we work. So it's become a part of that, right? And obviously that's evolving as we sort of look into these aspects.
Todd, the analogy I like to use when talking about PQC or post-quantum cryptography is that where we're at the moment is we're standing on a railroad track and we can feel the vibrations of the railroad track. The PQC computer we know is coming. And how quickly an organization needs to react is going to be a coefficient of how fast, and if you need to make a decision quite quickly, when you see the train it's almost there and you need to jump off the trains quickly, you're going to make a rush decision. Whereas if you start looking at how to become quantum safe now, you can plan that out and move a little bit further. Where are you seeing globally where we're at from, or where are our customers at globally on a quantum readiness journey?
It's a great question. I think around the world we're seeing a continuum. Some customers haven't started, others are further along. We're seeing regulated industries, government, financials, healthcare. They're a little bit further along than some others haven't started. I think in terms of the journey, the first step is visibility. And a lot of organizations that we've worked with have actually started to look within their systems to see what's going to be impacted first if there was a quantum computer tomorrow. And that's really the first step or guidance we give organizations. Have an understanding of what's going to be impacted first, and then bucketize that, prioritize it. It's really a risk assessment. And once you've prioritized it, then you can decide what you're going to do. Your most critical items you want to protect first. Maybe that's changing algorithms to protect the information, re-encrypting and something that could protect against a quantum computer. Maybe it's tokenization to take things out of scope. Maybe it's deletion. You don't need the data anymore, or the encryption, get rid of it. And so that's where organizations are. A lot of organizations is visibility. If you hadn't started yet, we would tell organizations, get that first step of visibility. The second major thing that Thales is doing as a tool vendor, and most tool vendors, is make sure your customers know about crypto agility. And so when you think about our HSMs, hardware security module, or our Cipher Trust data security platform, we want to make sure that you have crypto agility. Well, we've already implemented the post-quantum resistant algorithms that have been defined by NIST, National Institutes of Standard Technologies in the US, in those platforms. People can start playing around with them. They can see what those algorithms do from a latency or performance perspective. You're talking about different key lengths. You're talking about different key sizes, and just different types of algorithms themselves. So it's going to impact performance, latency, and other things. So you want to start playing around and testing with those different algorithms. And the algorithms of today are going to change. I mean, that's the whole point, right? What NIST said was today's algorithms, someone's going to break them or they're going to tweak, and so you need to be able to upgrade. So crypto agility is really important when you talk to tool vendors to make sure you have a crypto agile system. But get visibility first, start building out your tool stack, and then that gets you many steps in the right way of being prepared for that quantum computer.
Crypto agility is very much an important term. Can you talk a little bit more about what crypto agility means?
Basic definition is just being able to replace a cipher with a different cipher, a different algorithm. And encryption is math, and so you have to have the new math that comes in, but then there's encryption keys that go along with it. And we mentioned earlier about encryption keys, and really having the ability to manage those encryption keys from today's world to this post-quantum world is important. So crypto agility is just that. It's really having the flexibility to change what you have today. It's working kind of in a multidimensional world where you can coexist, a hybrid world between what lives today and what will be in the future. And a company or a tool vendor doesn't allow you to have that type of ability, that flexibility to change, put you at risk from an organization perspective, because what today is considered good may not be considered good tomorrow. So,
I think the other important topic when it comes to PQC is awareness, and what we're doing now, having this conversation, I think is really, really important, so that people are aware. Post-quantum cryptography is not that far away. Sujan, can you talk a little bit about some of the upcoming projects and how Thales has helped MUFG achieve some of their use cases?
Shall I just look from the past? I'll start from the past. Shall I say one of the main things we sort of saw Thales has help us is not just with our encryption or key management. It's going beyond that, helping us with our partners, other partners, right? Like replication tools, where there is a difference in how they sort of translate the keys, and helping them realize and become compatible with CTM. And this is going beyond what we have seen, right? Now, with crypto agility and the way things are moving fast in today's world, we definitely require that help. Professional services, new versions, and how we sort of manage our keys further, and obviously trends in data encryption. Yep. That's where we'd sort of lean on Thales without any doubt, because we have seen that platform, we have experienced the services Thales has provided us over a period of time.
Excellent, thanks, Sujan. Todd, we've had some really exciting new products that we've released quite recently. Can you talk a little bit about some of those products?
Sure, and Sujan, I don't know if you've heard about this. We just did a release last week of a new solution called File Activity Monitoring. For years now, we've been monitoring databases, and this is from a compliance as well as from an organization's perspective, from lowering risk to make sure databases are being well protected. But 90% of all new data being created is unstructured data. And AI, going back to our first topic, is creating a lot of this unstructured data, and that's files, it's videos, it's chat logs, it's emails, and it's data going in cloud, on-premise, all over the place. And we wanted to make sure that our customers even though they were watching their databases, monitoring their databases, they could actually extend that now to this unstructured data, to these files. So we're really excited about file activity monitoring. All of our existing Cipher Trust and data activity monitoring customers, it's out there today. You can extend to what you're doing with your databases and with your Cipher Trust in terms of protecting file systems, and now you can actually do file activity monitoring, leveraging the same agents that you had already deployed with Cipher Trust. And the good news is, once we've identified gaps in systems when it comes to unstructured data, we have the remediation tools. We've got the encryption and tokenization and data masking that helps you protect. So hopefully not too much of an advertisement, but file activity monitoring, we're really excited about it. It's really the first big integration between Thales and Imperva from a data security perspective, bringing these two large companies together over the last year and a half. And the engineering team did an amazing job bringing this feature to market.
See, that's another important thing, right, that we are waiting actually to take on.
Yep.
Right, so that will be another thing that we'll be sort of discussing with Thales soon.
Cool.
I say, yeah, FAM. That's marvelous. Like I said, we have sort of focused very deep into our structured data. Now, obviously, unstructured data is something that comes into mind as well.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So Todd, a lot has been said about external threats to data, people who don't have access being stopped and not getting access to data. How is Thales addressing the insider threat challenge?
Mm-hmm. It's a great question. There's a lot of bad actors inside our own companies. And there's a lot of recent incidents where you see good people that do things they didn't expect to do, or they pretend to be someone else and they do malicious things. The way we're really protecting against that is in two ways. One way, it is through activity monitoring that we've already talked about. It's really looking and watching, making sure the visibility when it's good knowing where your data is, but it's also important to understand how that data is being used, who's accessing it, why they're accessing it. And so it's not so much that you always encrypt, because encryption is so important, but if that person is a valid user, they might be able to decrypt that data. So you have to have both. You've got to have the encryption control, but you also have to have the monitoring controls as well too, both database as well as file. The other way that we're trying to help, and it's a new solution that we're working on, is really around key and secrets management, posture management, in the sense that there's a lot of orphaned keys and secrets out there. I mentioned before about how developers accidentally hard code secrets into files. Keys get lost. There was a recent breach last year where a key was sitting out there. It had been sitting there for 8 years, hadn't been rotated. And guess what? A bad person inside the organization found that key, and it still worked. They forgot about it. So, having visibility into data is important, but also having visibility into where your keys and secrets are as well too. So we are trying to add those types of tools and capabilities to our platform to help customers like MUFG be prepared for those insider threats and those concerns.
It's very good, actually.
Yeah.
So like I say, it's something good to understand and know, that we need to go beyond access mechanisms, access controls, like say segregation of duty.
Mm-hmm.
Like what you just mentioned, Todd, is the activity itself.
Mm-hmm.
Like say you might have a privileged account holder, and what if they are the threat?
Correct. Yep.
That's very important for us to look at that. Yeah.
So Todd, you mentioned to us earlier about the acquisition of Imperva by Thales. Can you talk a little bit about how we can now provide our customers with an overall end-to-end data security solution?
Sure. So, previous to the acquisition of Imperva, Thales was market leaders, still are, around HSMs, hardware security modules. Been in that business over 30 years, and then really on data security platform. And we really focused on the protection elements, right? It was all about protecting the data and managing the life cycle of that data through key rotation and such. But what we were missing was the monitoring piece. And our customers kept telling us that that's the most important piece, the visibility and the monitoring. Not the most important piece. It was another piece that you needed to have as part of the full data lifecycle story. You couldn't just protect it. You had to find it and understand what was important to you, and then watch it after you protected it. And so that's that insider threat or even external threat that you wanted to have the monitoring aspect. So coming together with Imperva, was a piece of the puzzle that was missing for us. We did 2 integrations so far with Imperva. One is the file activity monitoring that I just talked about, which I think is really important, moving out of structured data, which Imperva has been tremendous at for so long, and now moving to unstructured, and it helped drive the acquisition. The other piece was around this thing called data risk analytics or data risk intelligence. And I don't know if MUFG is using our DRA or DRI modules on top of activity monitoring, but you're not today.
No,
but what it is it really takes looks at the data lake, looks at all the indicators, security as well as behavior, and we can drive some risk intelligence. It does involve a risk score, telling you, at a CISO level, here's the risk within your organization. But with the fact that we've added encryption to this now, is we can actually say, how is encryption helping with your risk score? Are you encrypting your databases in the appropriate manner? If you are, you should have a lower risk score. If you're not, we're going to tell you that there's a larger gap in your system. So back to your original question, I think that you need both the monitoring, the camera, as well as the lock, and so that was one important for our data security platform. But the other piece is the insights piece. Once you understand the gaps, the risk elements within your systems, here's the things you can do to actually help fix them. So that's how we've brought these two companies together on the data security side. Now, I'd be remiss if I don't talk about applications. Imperva had a very strong app security business as well too. Web application firewalls, DDoS, bot protection, API security. And there's elements of data involved in that as well too. And so through the acquisition of Imperva, now Thales has a very strong application security business as well. And there's a strong interplay between our data security business and APIs, as an example, as well as application security. So we're much better now as a company after the acquisition.
Excellent. Thanks, Todd. So to wrap up, I'll ask this question to you both. Sujan first. How can organizations operationalize security compliance without slowing down innovation?
There are a few things that can be done. Look, one thing is you like to keep your policies clear. All right. So and then do not overdo things. Say don't make it too complicated. Say for access, right? A simple SSO does a lot of good, right? Makes things much clearer. We also sort of discuss the training aspects, have training in place so that everybody are aware, people are aware, right? Especially the developers, they don't do necessary harm by storing keys in, and then make it more secure, make code more secure. Mm-hmm. That's something that flows into production at a late time. We have segregation of duty. That keeps things safer to manage. We also sort of try and follow all the policies that we set up to the core. That helps us.
Thanks, Sujan. Todd?
Same question. Great answer, by the way. I think the question you asked is the question that I like to ask when I meet CISOs and I meet security folks at companies, because you can tell a lot from an organization, the maturity of an organization, about how they operationalize security. And it's a lot what you said, Sujan. It's having common policies, it's having guardrails in place. It's having simple things like centralized key management, like we talked about, being able to centralize that as a service across the organization. You asked about innovation. You don't want to stifle innovation. You don't want to put so many controls in place that engineers and developers and product managers can't, play around and build new things. But you got to have the right guardrails. And there's some things that just are mandatory from a policy perspective. You must centralize your encryption because critical things to an organization can't get leaked. So there's just, guardrails that need to be put in place. You operationalize it through constructs, through templates. There's some automation, there's containerization that you can do. But I think organizations that have done this for a while know how to put those guardrails in place, put those common policies, and you just want to make sure that you have a plan and you stick to it.
I like to use analogies, and one of the other analogies I use is security is generally like the brakes of a race car. Security actually allows you to go faster because it allows you to move around the corners smoothly and then accelerate out. So innovation and security goes hand in hand. If you have your security correct, then it allows you to innovate faster. So Todd, when it comes to PQC readiness, which industries do you see are those that have to act now as opposed to those who can wait a little bit longer?
Well, I think as we already discussed, waiting is no longer an option. I think every industry needs to start thinking about PQC readiness at this point in time, getting that visibility. We have some tools, that we can offer to you. We have a very large ecosystem. At Thales, we do have a PQC readiness tool. It's a toolbox that allows you, from an HSM perspective, to build out some ideas of how HSMs, where they fit within your software security stack and how they could be impacted by PQC. We also have a PQC readiness tool for our high-speed network encryption, so data in motion as well too. So those tools are available, and they do come with some professional services to help you set them up specific to your organization, see how your applications are going to be impacted, and so those are available today.
Excellent. Thanks, Todd. So Sujan, what's next from a PQC readiness perspective for MUFG?
Oh, this is something that we need to sort of venture out and ask Thales for help. If you like, say, you seem to have figured out a few things. So Todd, can you please guide what the next steps could be?
Would love to. Sujan. let's talk again. We have the toolkit, and we have the expertise as well as the ecosystem. I think we have a lot of partners that we can introduce you to. We can work together on this.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks.
So look, as we wrap up, let's remember that putting data protection at the heart of our business operations is essential for business continuity and growth. By adapting a proactive approach, we can protect our organizations, our customers, and ultimately our brand reputations. So before we leave, some of the things that you can do to help you on your data security journey is download the 2025 Data Threat Report, which you can access from the Thales website. Check out the PQC assessment tool, and then check out some of the other products that we offer at cpl.thalesgroup.com. Thank you for your valuable time and insights today, Todd and Sujan. We look forward to continuing our discussions on how we can all make our organizations safer in this data-driven age. Let's keep the conversations going.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sujan.
Thanks. Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.